They bought a house in the woods. 3 weeks later, it disappeared, completely vanished. But what was buried underneath was worse. In the spring of 2007, a young couple, Ryan and Melissa, bought a fixer-upper deep in the mountains of North Carolina. It was cheap, too cheap. The listing said, rustic cabin, quiet land, secluded and peaceful. When they arrived, they found an old wooden house with moss creeping up the walls and a faint smell of mildew in the air. The trees were unnaturally dense, and the only road in was barely a path. The neighbors were miles away. No cell service, no Wi-Fi. It was perfect for their off-the-grid dream. Until the third week. Melissa started noticing strange things. Tools would disappear from the shed and return days later, rusty and wet. Ryan once found the back door wide open, even though they always locked it. One night she woke up at 3:12 a.m. to what she described as chanting. Low, rhythmic murmurs coming from beneath the floorboards. Ryan heard it too, but the next morning there was no sign of anything. They tried to leave for a weekend trip, but the car wouldn't start. The engine was fine, but something kept draining the battery. Then one morning they woke up and the forest looked different. The path out? Gone. Just trees, no road, and the house felt colder. Melissa stood in the hallway and whispered, "Do you feel like we're being watched?" That night, Ryan dreamt of a woman under the house. Her eyes were stitched shut. Her mouth was open wide, repeating the same phrase over and over. "Let them build above me. I will rise." Ryan woke up covered in dirt. He had been sleepwalking and digging. They found a trap door under the living room rug, one they swear wasn't there before. It led to a root cellar with one object inside, an iron coffin, scratched from the inside. They fled the next day, hiking blindly through the woods for hours. When they reached a ranger station and brought help back, the house was gone. No debris, no foundation, just forest, and the trees where the house stood, dead and blackened in a perfect square. To this day, Melissa says, "We don't know what we woke up. Would you have opened the coffin? Tell me in the comments. And if you think that was scary, wait till you hear what happened in the next story." In 1997, a boy found an old Polaroid on the side of the road. The girl in the photo was smiling, but what was behind her wasn't. It was a scorching July afternoon in Albuquerque, New Mexico. 12-year-old Jason and his cousin were biking through a desert trail near their neighborhood when something shiny caught Jason's eye. A Polaroid picture, half buried in the sand. In it, a girl around his age, sitting in what looked like a basement. She was smiling, but in the dark corner behind her, a blurred shape loomed. He couldn't tell if it was a shadow or something worse. He pocketed the photo. That night, strange things began. Jason began hearing things in his room, whispers, footsteps. The photo kept moving. He'd leave it in a drawer but find it on his pillow. He tried throwing it away. It came back, dirtier, more faded, and with one terrifying change. The shape behind the girl was now closer. His cousin swore he heard giggling under the bed. One night, Jason's parents woke to the sound of him screaming. He was staring at the wall, pale as death. He said he saw the girl, not in the photo, in the corner of his room. She wasn't smiling anymore. The next day, they took the photo to the police. Shockingly, an officer recognized it. The girl had gone missing in 1989, 8 years earlier. She was last seen in her family's basement, which had burned down under mysterious circumstances. No body was ever found. The original photo, the officer claimed, had been sealed in an evidence box. It was impossible for Jason to have it. After that day, the photo was taken into custody. Jason never saw it again. But 2 weeks later, a detective on the case went missing. His car was found in the desert, with a single Polaroid on the dashboard. It showed the detective smiling. And behind him, a girl with hollow eyes. What would you do if you found a Polaroid like that? Keep it or burn it? Comment below. And don't miss what happened when a woman started receiving letters from her dead sister. My sister died in 2012. In 2014, I got a letter from her, then another, and another. Each one told me something only she would know, and warned me not to come home. Emma and her older sister Sarah were inseparable growing up. But in 2012, Sarah died in a tragic car accident while driving home from college. She was just 22. Emma was devastated. For months, she couldn't sleep. She'd talked to Sarah's old voicemails just to hear her voice. By 2014, Emma had moved cities and started a new life. But one rainy afternoon, a letter arrived. No return address, just her name, in Sarah's handwriting. Inside, M, I know this is hard to believe, but I need you to stay away from home. Something is wrong there. Please trust me. She thought it was a cruel prank, until she flipped the page and saw something only Sarah could have written. You hid my diary under the third floorboard beneath your bed. I never told anyone. Check it. Emma rushed home. The diary was there. The letters kept coming, each one filled with inside jokes, childhood memories, and eerie warnings. Don't go near the attic. He's not Dad anymore. If you hear knocking, don't answer. It's not me. Emma was terrified but couldn't look away. She had them examined. The ink, the paper, even the handwriting. All legit. No signs of forgery. In the fifth letter, Sarah included a photo. It was old, clearly taken on film. A blurry image of their childhood home, with someone, or something, watching from the upstairs window. But no one had lived there since their parents moved out, or so she thought. Emma finally returned to the house. She had to know. Everything was untouched, dust-covered, silent, until she went to the attic. Carved into the walls were dozens of names, including hers and Sarah's. Then the knocking began, slow, deliberate, coming from inside the walls. She ran, but not before seeing one last thing, written on the back of a family photo on the mantle. You shouldn't have come. After that, the letters stopped. To this day, Emma doesn't know who or what was sending them, but she says sometimes, when she checks her mailbox late at night, she still smells Sarah's perfume. Do you think Sarah was trying to warn her, or was something pretending to be her? Let me know in the comments. Next, let me tell you about the little boy who never aged. A child went missing in 1978. In 2021, he knocked on someone's door, wearing the same clothes. He hadn't aged a day. In the quiet town of Iron Ridge, Minnesota, children used to play until dusk with no fear. That changed on October 12, 1978. 7-year-old Eli Warner vanished while walking home from school. His red jacket was found in the woods, neatly folded. His lunchbox, unopened, sat beside it. Search parties scoured the area for weeks, but Eli was gone. His parents never left Iron Ridge, hoping one day he'd return. In 2021, 43 years later, he did. A couple, Dan and Linda, were watching TV late one night when they heard a knock at the door. They live on the outskirts of town. No neighbors, no visitors. Standing outside was a boy, soaked from the rain, wearing a red jacket. He looked confused. When asked his name, he simply said, Eli. I live here. Dan froze. He remembered the case. Everyone in town did. Linda brought him in, thinking he was just a lost child. But something felt off. He didn't blink much, didn't smile. When asked what year it was, he answered, 1978. They called the police. DNA tests confirmed it. It was Eli. Same fingerprints, same scar on his chin from a dog bite when he was 5. But he hadn't aged a day, not a wrinkle, not a freckle out of place. When asked where he'd been, he said, in the house, the one underground, the one that hums. He talked about rooms with no doors, people with eyes that didn't blink, and a man he called the Tall One, who told him, you can go back now. They've forgotten, but no one had. Eli was placed under observation. 1 week later, he vanished again. His hospital bed was empty. No cameras caught anything. All that remained was his red jacket, neatly folded. Where do you think Eli went? Do you believe there are places where time doesn't work the same? Drop your theory below. And if that shook you, wait till you hear what a woman found inside the mirror her grandmother left behind. My grandmother passed away last year. When I cleaned her house, I found an old mirror covered in black cloth. She had nailed it to the wall. I should have left it alone. When Clara's grandmother died at 89, she left behind a quiet Victorian home in a sleepy Pennsylvania town. Clara had always loved the house, the creaky floors, the smell of lavender and old paper. But there was one room she'd never been allowed in. Her grandmother called it the reflection room. It was always locked, always silent. When Clara began cleaning the house for sale, she found the key, hidden in an old book. Inside the room was nothing but an antique mirror, 7 feet tall, covered in black cloth, and nailed, yes, nailed, to the wall. There were scratch marks on the floor, like something had been dragging its feet, trying to leave. Clara removed the cloth. The air turned cold. In the mirror, she saw her reflection, but it didn't move quite right. A half-second delay, and then a smile that felt off, like it knew something she didn't. At night, she started hearing things, the sound of glass cracking from behind the walls. She covered the mirror again, but the next morning the cloth was on the floor. The nails, gone. One night she stood in front of it. The reflection blinked, but she didn't. Then it stepped forward. Clara stumbled back, but there was no sound, no glass breaking, just the sensation of something watching from the other side. She tried selling the mirror. No one would take it. Movers refused to enter the room. One man vomited on the spot. "It's not the mirror," he said. "It's what's trapped in it." She called a priest. He refused to go near it. A week later, Clara smashed it with a hammer. It didn't break. Instead, a hairline crack appeared, and something moved beneath the surface. That night, Clara dreamt of her grandmother. She was younger, but her eyes were black, mirror-like. She said, "You've let it loose, Clara. You need to feed it now." When Clara woke, the mirror was gone, just an empty wall, but the floor was wet, like someone had stepped out of it. And in the hallway mirror, not the antique one, just a regular hallway mirror, Clara saw herself, but her reflection didn't move. Then it grinned. Do you think mirrors are just glass? Or are they something more? Would you have uncovered that mirror? Let me know in the comments. And stay with me, because the next story is about a town that completely disappeared in one night. There was a town in Utah called Elmsbrook, population 127. On June 2nd, 1993, every single person disappeared. The town was never found again, not even on satellite. Elmsbrook, Utah was the kind of place you'd miss if you blinked while driving. A single road in and out, one diner, a gas station, a few homes nestled between pine trees and quiet hills. On the night of June 1st, 1993, everything seemed normal. People were seen dining, walking their dogs, turning in for the night. But when a delivery truck arrived the next morning, Elmsbrook was gone. Not empty, gone. No buildings, no roads, just empty field. Grass where houses used to be. The driver panicked, called the police. They thought he was hallucinating until they arrived. Multiple agencies were called in. FBI, FEMA, even the military showed up quietly. There were no burn marks, no signs of demolition, just nothing. A flat clearing, as if the town had never existed. But witnesses remembered it. People had mail from Elmsbrook, receipts, even a high school yearbook. And strangest of all, the town still appeared in old maps. But satellite images, blank space. One survivor eventually came forward. Her name was Abby. She had moved out of Elmsbrook 2 weeks prior. She claimed the town had been changing before she left. She described shadows walking at night, not people, just shadows. Doors that wouldn't stay closed, a ringing sound that made your bones vibrate, and dreams of a woman standing in the fields, whispering, "This place was borrowed." Abby begged her parents to leave with her. They didn't. She never saw them again. The government sealed off the area, but locals say at night you can hear music, old-timey piano, playing softly in the trees. And if you step too far into the grass, you come out somewhere else. A hiker claimed to find a mailbox sticking out of the ground 15 miles away. It was charred, melted, still had mail inside, addressed to Elmsbrook. One letter had only 3 words written in shaky handwriting. "She took us." Elmsbrook is no longer on GPS. Search for it and you'll get an error. But the strangest thing? Every year on June 2nd, 127 butterflies appear in the area. Exactly one for every person who lived there. Do you think an entire town can be erased just like that? Was it a government cover-up? Something paranormal? Or did the land reclaim itself? Drop your theory in the comments. And now for the final story, the man who lived in apartment 104 and never left, even after death. A man died in room 104 of the Amber Pines apartments, but tenants say he never left. Maintenance refuses to enter, and what lives behind the closet wall is still breathing. Amber Pines was a rundown apartment complex on the edge of Milwaukee. Cheap rent, no questions asked. That's why Mark Sullivan moved in. Room 104, 1 bedroom, stained carpet, creaky pipes, the kind of place people stayed while waiting for life to get better. Mark was a quiet man, former school teacher, retired early. He kept to himself. Neighbors said he talked to the wall sometimes, said they wouldn't let him sleep. In 2018, a smell started seeping from under his door. He hadn't paid rent in months, so the landlord finally entered. Mark was dead, sitting in the closet, smiling. After the body was removed, strange things started happening. New tenants reported hearing scratching in the closet. Late at night, they'd find the door open, even if they had locked it shut. One girl, Tina, stayed only 3 days. She swore something whispered her name from inside the walls. She left in the middle of the night. Then came Marcus, a skeptic. He set up cameras, tried to document everything. Day 1, nothing. Day 2, he caught a shadow crawling across the wall. Day 3, the footage cut to static at 3:33 a.m. for 6 minutes. When it resumed, the camera was on the floor. Pointed at the closet, the door was open. A figure stood inside, thin, long arms, no face. Marcus left the next morning and never returned. Maintenance refused to touch the unit. Eventually, room 104 was sealed. No tenants, no entry. But people in nearby rooms still heard movement, footsteps pacing, tapping from inside the walls. In 2021, the building changed ownership. The new landlord reopened room 104 for rent. The first person to tour it was a man named David. He texted his wife at 5:02 p.m. About to check out the place, the closet doors open, LOL. He was never seen again. His car was in the parking lot. His phone found on the closet floor. The last photo was blurry, a black mass in the corner, and something crawling toward the lens. Room 104 is now permanently brick shut. But sometime, when you walk past that section of the hall, you hear breathing. not loud, just enough to let you know someone's still there. Would you ever stay in a room with a haunted past? Have you ever felt like something was living inside your walls? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you made it through all 7 stories, you're braver than most. Now send this video to a friend who says they're never scared, and let's test that.